Welcome back to my channel. Another day, another rebirth, right? Today we're going to be discussing soulmates and what they look like and how they show up and how you find them. Me personally, I don't like the way Western society focuses so much on soulmates or twin flames. I feel like we have to do the work to understand our own souls, our own purposes, our own paths to even fathom meeting someone who's a mate to that said soul, to that true soul. A lot of us operate in ways that we feel like we have to, or the identities that our families gave to us. A lot of our personalities are trauma responses, and we don't sit and do the work to even understand ourselves and our soul on that deeper level. We crave a mate before we crave our own soul, before we want to be our own best friend, before we want to be soulmates with Creator, right? Which is understandable. We live in this capitalistic, nonsensical grind culture where we want community, and we want community that feels us deeply, that knows us deeply. But a lot of us want these things out of desperation, right? And I get it. I've been desperate before, child. But we have to sit with the reasons we crave this soulmate so badly. Do we want this soulmate to kind of piece us back together, to be a puzzle piece to heal us? For me, a soulmate is a confidant that can gracefully but constantly remind me that my work is not done. For me, my soulmates, they remind me that my work is not done, because they always reflect what I'm supposed to be doing, and vice versa. Like, they could be a heavyweight in this area of life and I could be lacking. So for me, that is a soulmate. Soulmates are not always pretty feeling. It is not always a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't always feel or present itself as a beautiful thing. And I hate the fact that in Western society, soulmates are all romance. You gonna have friends that gonna show up as soulmates. You gonna have pets that show up in soulmates, and some soulmates may not have even left the spiritual realm yet, and you have to understand that. In one of my traditions, the way we view soulmates, they're people that we already had in heaven, and they come down to heaven, and we form the same bonds that we had in heaven. These are called egg bay, right? Soulmates in heaven. And some people like to believe that you have one romantic soulmate, right? Which is understandable. It's debatable. I don't even know what I believe right now, but I know that I used to believe that there are multiple romantic soulmates, and we switch them out based on who we need at what time, And maybe God or our ancestors hands us different soulmates, like, okay, y'all could work out, but that's up to y'all. That is your soulmate if you want it to be, type thing. But people are people, and people gonna mess up. People gonna bump heads, but it's up to you all to push through those, to constantly remind each other that the work is not done. However, I met a dear friend that once told me that, well, don't you think that means that they were not your soulmate? Because if they could not work through it and gracefully remind you to work on this area of your life, that is not your soulmate. Debatable. Like I said, I hear him out. I hear him out when he says that, because I still think about that to this day. Like, when someone comes into your life as a lesson, just a lesson, and they're not there for the long run. You know, you feel it, but you still go through it because it's in your spiritual contract, and you have to learn that lesson so you can put that lesson and apply that lesson to other things and other people. I really think about it because it's like, okay, if they were my true soulmate, then we would have went through that. We would have breezed through that conflict or went through that conflict and came out on the other side. But like I said, I don't believe that all soulmates are permanent. So maybe they were their soulmate for that part of my soul that was not healed. Understandable. Oh, Shango, Shango and Oya about to come stir some things up, right? But it all depends on you, and you got to figure out what a soulmate is to you. You got to figure out what your definition of soulmate is so you can attract that. But you have to attract that with the knowing of yourself, right? With a knowing of your moral compass and the things that are important to your core. There's some things about us that will never change. That will never change from this life to the next life, because that is our soul, that is our being. And you have to decide to want people who will not only tolerate that but love that. I think those are your soulmates. And I think we have to move out of the idea that your soulmate gonna look a certain way. Some of us turn our backs on our soulmates and don't even give them a chance because we because we're materialistic. Because humans are judgmental. Humans can be mean, right? And we don't know ourselves. I can sit here and say that because to this day I'm still figuring out what I like. I'm still figuring out that my personality is a trauma response. I'm still figuring out what my soul likes and what it requires. Yeah, so I think before you try to call in your soulmates, think about, in this point in your life, would you want your soulmate to match your energy? Like, think about you trying to find a relationship, right? I think I need to go in the house, but but I'm feeling the word. You feel me? But like I was saying, do you think you want your soulmate to meet you where you're at right now? Do you want someone to meet you in your soul's entirety right now? So while we're so hyper focused on finding this other part of us, we need to understand that we are whole just the way we are. Okay, mother, you ain't gotta say too much. I hope y'all have a lovely day, night. I believe in you. Remember, um, your ancestors believe in you, and you are your first soulmate. Never forget that.